Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, we are here today because of the tragic murder of King Duncan. Over the last week, we have reviewed evidence and testimony of the prosecution trying to convict Macbeth guilty. I'm going to tell you right now how that testimony and how that evidence directly proves that Macbeth is not guilty. Let's start with the evidence, okay? We know that while King Duncan was sleeping, someone inebriated his guards, took their daggers, snuck into his room, made one shaky, shallow cut across his neck, and made one long, deep cut slightly below that. Okay? When you go into your deliberation, remember the testimony of the doctor and the gentlewoman. Did they not say that Lady Macbeth recounted vivid and lucid detail of that killing, saying that she could not have imagined how much blood would have been in old King Duncan's veins, and how difficult it was to wash the blood off of her hands, literally, how hard it was to get spots of blood out of her skin. Okay? Now, think of the cuts on Duncan's neck. So, if Macbeth is guilty, why would there be such a poor execution of this murder? Is he not a seasoned warrior with accolades on the battlefield? But what if it was his wife? What if it was Lady Macbeth? What if someone who had never killed before suddenly felt fear and uncertainty, and as a result, the knife didn't cut true? And then they recompose themselves, cut again, and there's the clean cut. It explains why one of the gashes was so shaky and shallow, yet why the second one was so deep. Now, let's look at the weapon of choice. Daggers. So why would a seasoned warrior use two guards' daggers? He has much finer daggers of his own, and he has a sword that he wears constantly, right? A sword is a symbol of prowess and status. Why not use that sword? Well, because he didn't do it. Now, think of his wife again. Lady Macbeth. Lady Macbeth, for a woman, a dagger is easy to use, easy to conceal, and it would be easy for her to approach the guards because she's a little woman, right? They wouldn't see her as a threat. Easy for her to approach the guards, inebriate them, and then take their daggers and plant the evidence on them. So, right now you might be asking why I'm focusing on Lady Macbeth. Well, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, it's because I have just established reasonable doubt. I have irrevocably established a reasonable doubt that Macbeth is the killer. If there's such a convincing case for another killer, and that case directly says Macbeth is not the killer, then there is reasonable doubt that he is the killer. Therefore, convicting him of murder in the first degree would be a grand miscarriage of justice. We have evidence that proves Macbeth is not the killer. We have testimony that directly contradicts the prosecutor's claim that Macbeth is the killer. To convict Macbeth of any crime would be irresponsible, at the least. You, the jury, have the responsibility to weigh the prosecution's argument and see if the prosecution has done their job of proving that Macbeth is guilty beyond a reasonable doubt, and they have not done that job, and therefore you cannot convict him guilty. Put aside your biases, personal information, anecdotal evidence, put that all aside. This is a man who has lost everything. His wife, his country, his best friends. This man is not guilty. Do your duty to your country, do your duty to your job, do your duty to your position. Duncan would have not wanted one of his oldest and best friends to die for a crime he did not commit. Thank you.